Okay, in installment number one, we talked about the little neighborhood where my stepson and his wife live, and how they have a little village made out of their family, their immediate family, and friends. Today, we're going to talk about forming your own village in your neighborhood and give you some steps to make it happen if you want it to happen. Big if, you know. I happen to think we need more villages, not fewer. In fact, I think we need one hell of a lot of villages. We've got problems in River City, my friends. So, like and subscribe if you want. We're on Patreon under As We Wonder. And for $3 a month. Come on. When we're talking about values, $3 a month, seriously. Or you can buy me a coffee, one-time shot, $5 under Buy Me a Coffee, Bill Holland. And Patreon, As We Wonder. All right, let's get to it. Forming a village in your neighborhood. Let's do this thing. So this was our neighborhood that I've talked so much about. It was really a 2-block stretch. And I'm going to tell you why. This home that I'm standing at right here, this used to be the Todds. 2 children there. Over there, up on the corner, the purplish blue, that was Zetterberg's. They had 6 kids, I believe. I'm gonna have to juggle Maggie while we do this. Gray house here, that was Ollie's. 2 children. Let's go over on the sidewalk. Oddly, this house right here, I have no idea. I know the woman was in a wheelchair. And I know I talked to her when I was a kid, but for the life of me, I don't remember who it was. Don't remember the name. Same with the house right next to it. Don't know who they were, but the greenish house right next to that with the porch. That was originally the Manzas with 5 kids. When we moved in, the Manzas were here. Then it was the Norlands young couple with 2 kids. On the corner, the greenish house, was the Hoffmans. Mr. Hoffman was a warehouse worker. He's the one that got me my first real job for the Teamsters as I was working my way through college. That gray house right there, I've written about it often. That's where the Strights lived. Mr. Strights, probably the meanest man I've ever met. He did have a son, and is it kitty corner or catty corner? Kitty corner. That brick house with the big weeping willow, you'll see it better in a second, was our house. That's where I grew up. This neighborhood, when we first moved in 1953, had no paved streets, virtually no landscaping. It's all post-war, young families, soldiers after the war. Most of them moved from the Midwest. A lot of them were stationed at Fort Lewis and fell in love with the Northwest, and then moved here after the war. So that was our house. That fence wasn't there. The cement wall wasn't there. That parking lot strip where you see the trailer now, under the other weeping willow, that's where we had all our wiffle ball games. And Dad put a basketball hoop there. We had horseshoes there. God, that fir tree right there next to the black car, we planted that. That was nothing. It was like 2 feet tall. Anyway, going on. Right next to our house was Witherspoon's, that other brick house. That's the same floor plan as our house. An old couple, wonderful people. They had to be in their 70s when we moved in. This blue house here was originally the Gordons, 2 kids. And then the Lilies moved in, 2 kids. Right next to Fawcett's, and that nicer brick home was the Langstons. And the young wife was the daughter of the family right next to it, was Mertz's. They had 6 kids. So she was the oldest daughter, and she married the Langston boy right next door, and then they moved in after the parents moved to Florida, I think. And then these 2 homes, couldn't tell you. No idea. And that was the extent of the kids of the neighborhood. So 1, 2, maybe, I don't know, I think there were 12 kids. No, God, there were more than that. 15 kids when we moved in 1953. And that hill right there was was the sledding hill in the winter. And magically barricades would show up in the winter. One of the parents had barricades, and they'd block off the hill, and then the parents would line the street with lanterns at night, and then the kids would ride or sled down the hill all the time for hours, and parents would have hot chocolate waiting for us, and just pretty cool. Anyway, that was the Mertz house, and God, we'd have wiffle ball games out in the street, and parents, honest to God, I'm not making this up, parents would come out and sit on their porches and cheer us on while we play. We just thought we were in Yankee Stadium. It was the coolest place to grow up. And I mean, I've written enough about it, so there can't be any doubt as to how I felt about it. The thing about this neighborhood that I want to point out, this neighborhood isn't any different than literally tens of thousands of neighborhoods around the country. You can find post-war neighborhoods like this just everywhere. What made this neighborhood special, and this is so important, guys, it's the point I want to make. Hold on, I'm going to turn around so you can look at me. The point I want to make, what made this neighborhood special were the people. It was the people. They cared about each other. They came from Midwest communities where neighbors cared about each other. They moved here, and they brought that sense of community with them. I was fairly sick as a young child, and I would clearly remember, being sick, and the neighborhood moms would bring comic books to me while I was missing school so that I'd have something new to read. And other moms would bring chicken noodle soup. I grew up with chicken noodle soup, man. That was the fix-all of anything that was wrong with you. Maggie's just got new smells, man. She's loving it. But that sort of stuff happened all the time. The oh my God, the family doctor would come and check on you if you were sick. Neighborhood priest would come to dinner. That's the kind of neighborhood this was. 18th and Monroe, Tacoma, Washington. Maggie, come on. Probably my all-time favorite tree was right here. This weeping willow lay out under the tree on a hot summer day. God, isn't it amazing when you're a kid, how everything seems bigger. I can't believe how small this front lawn looks. Unbelievable. We put that rockery in. Dad and the neighbors put the rockery in. But look how small this yard is. God, I don't remember how long it took me to mow that when I was a kid, but it seemed like it was forever. And then this parking strip here. Serious fun here. Great wiffle ball games. Unless the ball landed on Mr. Streitz's lawn, and then we were in trouble, because he'd come and get the ball and wouldn't give it back to us. So we always had an extra supply, because invariably somebody would hit a ball over there. God, right behind us, I think that was the Fawcett's. And this alley here was fun too. Good sledding alley. And that wall right there is where I learned to pitch. I would pace off 60 feet back from that wall, and I would pick a crack in the wall and I would pitch towards it. This is it. Keep dogs off grass, I swear to God. It's almost like Streitz is still living there. Anyway, enough of all that. Bought that house. Mom and Dad bought that house for $12,000. It sold 2 years ago, $450,000. I could have bought it when Mom remarried and moved out. But I was young and foolish, had other plans. So, point I want to make: this neighborhood was a village because of the people. The people wanted this to be a special area where kids could grow up safely. No. And they made it that way. And it was that way for my entire childhood. A safe place. Everybody knew where the kids were. If somebody had a big project, people would chip in. And because this is no different than any other neighborhood that you're going to find around the country, this can happen in your neighborhood. But guess who has to start it? Hold it. Guess who has to start it? You do, or somebody in your neighborhood. You have to be willing to reach out and say, hey, let's have a potluck this next weekend. Let's everybody meet for a picnic over at Bob Anderson's house. Take a casserole over to a neighbor that you haven't met and introduce yourself. That's all it takes. But it takes someone willing to do that. Someone. All right, over and out.